The lawyer's revenge against a landlord. Landlords, in general, have a reputation for being problematic. Everyone knows that. But if you think residential landlords are bad, wait until you deal with commercial ones. They are some of the most ruthless and unpleasant people I've ever encountered. This is a story about one such landlord and how I dealt with him. In the 1990s, I often had lunch at a restaurant located in the basement of our building. It was called the Vault because it featured a massive bank vault that had been installed long before the space was turned into a restaurant. It was quite a unique place. The vault was so large that tables could be set up inside, allowing you to dine surrounded by rows of shiny, old safe deposit boxes. One day, while I was having lunch, the restaurant owner pulled me aside. "The landlord is driving me crazy," he said. "The landlord drives everyone crazy." I replied that I was a subtenant in the same building, sharing an office with Aaron, an older attorney. The building's landlord was a nightmare, constantly causing trouble for everyone. From the moment I first met him, it was clear we hated each other. In many jurisdictions, commercial landlords don't need court orders to evict tenants who are behind on rent. Instead, they simply change the locks, and you find out when your key no longer works. Our landlord loved this tactic and frequently used it as a threat. "He keeps demanding all these extra payments," the restaurant owner continued, "and the strange thing is, many of them are for really old expenses." He showed me a letter listing charges for snow removal, parking lot repairs, flooring for common areas, and a host of other expenses going back years. At the end of the letter was the usual threat: "Pay up, or we'll change the locks." From the tone of this letter, it sounds like you've been clashing with him for a while, I observed. "Why didn't you consult a lawyer earlier?" "I did," he replied. "But the lawyer said there was no hope." When he mentioned the lawyer's name, I immediately recognized it. He was a mediocre attorney, known for handling small legal aid cases just to keep the lights on after the 1989 market crash. "Did you do something to make the landlord hate you?" I asked. "This seems extreme, even for him." "He knows I'm moving the restaurant," the owner explained. "I think he's trying to squeeze as much money as possible before I leave. Plus, he's been giving me grief about the vault. He doesn't want you to take the vault." "Are you kidding? That thing weighs nearly 100 tons, and I don't even want it. But the lease says I have to remove it and restore the building to its original state, as if the vault was never there. It would cost a fortune." "Send me your lease," I said. "Let me take a look." When the lease landed on my desk, I realized the situation was as bad as the restaurant owner had described. He was stuck with a ridiculous clause requiring him to bear the cost of removing the vault. It seemed like a hopeless case. But then I had an idea. I called the restaurant owner and said, "I can get you out of this, but it's going to cost you." "How much?" he asked, clearly desperate. $5,000 for legal fees and another amount for an agent." "What kind of agent?" "A real estate agent. Just trust me." The next day, with the check in hand, I began executing my plan.